question number 3 is going to ask us to create a function called root quad. It's going to take one input scalar value and it assigns it to output y. And so it's going to compute this function right here if it's within the domain and 0 if it's not. And we're going to use an if-else end statement in order to do that. So you have to remember that our format for functions is function, then we have our output and assign it to our name of the function, and then our input right here. So it tells us that our function, we're going to write our function, right? Or let me just remove that. We already know it's function. And it tells us our output y. So this is going to be y under here. And it says we're going to have input scalar value x. So this is going to be our x. And our name is root quad. So this is going to be the root quad, right? So if we write this out to start off, we're going to have function y equals root quad of x, right? Now we're going to have to do our if-else end statement. So we know that our format follows this. We have if and then a condition, right? And we have an action and then an else, another action, and then end. And that's how we get our if statement to work. So we know that if it's within the domain, we're going to compute it. So we're going to say if. And then how do we say this is within the domain? Well, we know that this has to be greater than or equal to 0 because we don't want a negative square root or a square root of a negative number. So we say if x, and then we say caret 2. So that'll give us the power of 2. And since it's a scalar, we don't have to do a dot, but it doesn't hurt to do that. Do minus 5 multiply by x plus 6 greater than or equal to 0. If that, we're going to compute the function. So we're going to assign y as the output equal to, we're going to put in parentheses, x to the power of 2 minus 5 multiplied by x plus 6. And this whole thing, which is a scalar value, we're going to do to the power of 1/2, right? We're going to put that in parentheses. Else, so if it's not within the domain, we're going to know if like this is within the domain. The only other option is that this thing is less than 0, because if it's greater than or equal to, the only other option is it's less than, which means it's not in the domain. So we're just going to assign the output, like it told us, to 0. And then we're going to end that if statement, right? And this connects to that. And then we're going to end the function, and we're going to connect that to that. And that does that automatically. It's just for looks. So this is how you're going to do your number 3. So hope that helps. So if we test the function root quad that we had in problem number 3, we're going to have our function y equals root quad of x. That was our format. You say if x caret 2 x to the power of 2 minus 5 times x plus 6 is greater than or equal to 0. That makes sure it's in the domain. We compute our function. We have to the power 1/2, which means it's just square root. Else y equals 0. So let's say root quad, and we will assign value of 3. It gave us y equals 0. That's basically, it means that when x equals 3, it's not within our domain. What if we did root quad of 0? So when x equals 0, it is within our domain. And if we check that, x is 0, that's 0. 5 times 0 is 0 plus 6. So we got the square root of 6, and that's within the domain. So that works, and that tested that our function worked.